Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the tender and water shuttle ports. We've got a little bit more to share with you about that, as well as how they work, all of that in Iceland and passports and everything. We also need to talk about the Regal Princess's missed a port, huge itinerary change on a Norwegian cruise. We're going to talk about Cunard Cruise Lines, and I think the really remarkable celebration that they are doing to commemorate the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And you know what is going on with the excursions on the Discovery Princess this Alaska season? So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Friday. It is May 24th of 2024. And let's start at the very top talking a little bit more about how those tender or water shuttle ports, however you prefer to talk about them, how they work, and some things that I think you need to think about. So first of all, the tender or water shuttles are what they're going to use to get guests from the ship, which in some ports have to be anchored rather than pulled up to the dock. They're going to carry you either on the lifeboats of the ship or on local boats over to the port and then back at the end of your visit. When you think about getting off the ship, there is a protocol for getting off the ship, and I did talk about it in my video yesterday, so catch that if you haven't already. But the thing that I want to make sure that everybody is aware of is as you go to disembark the ship on a water shuttle or the tender, however you want to call that, they do it, if you are going on a ship excursion, they have you meet together as a group, and then you go as a group to get on the water shuttle. And so if you have booked a tour with a third-party vendor, you don't get any priority with getting off the ship. You have to go through the usual channels of disembarking and then getting over to the shore and meeting your tour guide over there. All right, so it's not the same thing. And so here's what you need to remember. If you are elite, you are going to have the luxury of getting to meet in the lounge where they have the elite and suite. Suite guests also get this priority of meeting there. And then if they have time before they start disembarking any of the excursion groups, they'll let you go. If they have extra space on one of the water shuttles that they've got almost full of guests who are on a certain excursion, but they've got extra room, they'll put you on. If they've got, some shuttle that's available between groups of excursions, they'll put you on first. Now, everyone else has to take the ticket from the place that they'll announce on the ship. It's like, sometimes it's the Explorer's Lounge, wherever it is, you go get the ticket. So if you want to be in the first group to disembark and you're not elite and you're not going on a ship excursion, you need to be down there ready to gather your ticket as soon as they announce they're ready to start handing those out. Because they hand out X number of them and then they go to the next number. And so they call you by group to get to go disembark. And the really important thing to remember is it really depends by port, like how fast that whole process is going to go. And I don't know, truly, in some ports you see they're running 5 tenders, in others they're running 3, in others they're running 7. I don't really know what determines that. And so keep in mind that it might go very smoothly and rather quickly, or you might be waiting for an hour or two. So if you are going to book your excursion with a third-party vendor, think long and hard about doing it in a tender port. And if you are, make sure that they know that you are going to have to take a water shuttle to get from the ship over to meet them, so that hopefully they will wait for you and see what they say about that. Okay, our practice, Gordon and my practice is, what we do is we just book an excursion with the ship. It works really nice to get off the ship early. We are elite, but if we want to do an excursion, we book it with the ship and then off we go, because we're sure of what we're going to experience that way. So let me know what questions you've got about that. And then the other thing that I wanted to tell you is about Iceland. When you go to Iceland, last year we went in July. As you enter, it depends on what port you're coming from. Okay, it depends where you're coming from. And so we went from the United Kingdom over to Iceland. When you do that, you have to go through passport control as you arrive in Iceland, and you have to go through passport control again as you arrive back in the British Isles, back in the United Kingdom, I should say. And so when we arrived there, the ship has everything set up. So you don't have to worry about the process and wonder, where do I go to do that? No, they'll tell you everything. So as we arrived in Iceland, they gave all of the guests on board a note that let them know what time their time was to come and be in line, ready to go through that process. When we went down, there was a really, 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 really long line because they were a little bit late starting. And so once they got the line going, it went very quickly. And so you go in, you go through the process with the agents that the country, Iceland in this case, getting there. You go through that process, and then as you leave that area, Princess will scan your medallion so that they know you have been through that process. That way they know all the guests on board have been processed through that. And then once you do that, then you are able to go ahead and go get on, if you're at a tender port, you can go get on the water shuttle and get off the ship. Okay, so I would also think twice, like if you're going to have a tender port in Iceland for your very first port there, I would be careful. And even if you're looking at booking a third-party excursion and it's a port that you'll walk off the ship, make sure that they know that you have to go through that process there so that they will wait for you if you're a little bit delayed. The same process has to occur as you come back to the United Kingdom, and that one seemed to go a little bit slower. I don't know why, but it took a little bit longer. But like I said, the ship sets it all up for you. You don't have to worry about where you're going to go to do that. You don't have to worry about if you have to do that. Everybody on the ship has to do it. So if you are going to Iceland and you think, well, I don't have to do it because I'm not going to get off the ship, it doesn't work that way. You have to do it. Same thing with coming back to the United Kingdom. So let me know if you have any questions about that. And when you look at Iceland, they don't have as many tours offered independently as we're used to seeing like on Viator or with other private tour guides. They do have, a good number, but not quite as many. And so we ended up booking all of our excursions with Princess, and we thoroughly enjoyed all of them. The tour guides that we had did a really good job. Only one of them was a little bit not so excited to be a tour guide, but the others were magnificent. And even the one that wasn't that great, we saw beautiful things and thoroughly enjoyed our whole visit. So I can recommend that to book with the ship, especially in some of these more remote places. Because the other thing that worried me about booking with a third-party vendor in Iceland is really to see all of the things that you want to see and are the must-see things in those areas. They are quite remote, and so I liked the reassurance that if anything got delayed, if a bus broke down, anything at all, that the ship would be waiting for us. So let me know if you've got more questions. Okay, it's my pleasure to answer them. So 2020 is a very special year as we celebrate the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Cunard Cruise Lines has chosen their own, I think it's magnificent the way that they have chosen to observe this. So what they have done is the Queen Mary just arrived yesterday in New York City. On board was the Eternal Flame. If you're not familiar with the Eternal Flame has been lit and has been burning ever since November 11th of 1923 there on their Tomb of the Unknown Soldier there in the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. And so they had a special group of French ambassadors go collect that flame. So they relit another flame from that one. They brought it on board the Queen Mary 2. They went through Cherbourg, France, brought it over to Southampton where that ship was departing from, carried it across the Atlantic, and when they arrived yesterday in New York City, they had a special celebration, and they had lots of really important people there. The ones that stood out to me the very most was the ambassador from France, the United States was there, the granddaughter of General Patton was there, and of course the captain of the ship and some other dignitaries. But I love that they are taking time to do this. So after they do that celebration, they are taking that flame, taking it down to Arlington Cemetery here in the United States, and that flame is going to burn there until June 6th. This year as we celebrate that really special day of remembering D-Day. So I wanted to share that with you and let you know how pleased I am with Cunard Cruise Line for doing that, because it's a really big deal that we remember. Remember is one of the most important words, I think, in our language, and it's really important to remember. Now, when you think of visiting Normandy and the beaches there, in association with D-Day. The port that cruise lines generally use is Le Havre, and you can do the excursions there from other ports as well, but one of the traditional ones there is Le Havre, and the Regal Princess was scheduled to call there on her current voyage, and they were not able to call there due to port workers being on strike. The port workers have said that they chose to strike there because they are trying to find places to strike that will have the greatest impact. It's a really big deal. When a cruise ship comes, it's a big deal to the port. They get money for that. It's a big deal, of course, to all the tour providers, to the businesses in that region, and they knew it would be a big deal if they went on strike and demonstrated there. So they were not able to call. So I'm really hopeful, but that by the time it rolls around for our turn to call there in the Port of Le Havre on our British Isles cruise coming up, I hope that we get to do that. But of course, nothing is for sure. So wanted to let you all know that. And I don't know, they have not announced how long this strike is going to run. There is another sailing of the Regal Princess that will go on May 27th. And that sailing will go through June 8th when ours will start. And they're rolling throughout the season and clear into the fall. And so we'll just have to see how everything shapes up for being able to make that port there in Le Havre. Now, I would say even bigger news than that is what's going on with Norwegian's Getaway. So the Norwegian Getaway is scheduled to sail June 6th. And there has been a change to almost every port on that cruise. Some of the changes are insignificant, but some of the changes are huge. So one of the ports that ship was supposed to visit on their sailing is Gibraltar. They are no longer calling it Gibraltar. They are flipping the dates that they're going to see some other ports and just taking some other ports off of the itinerary. So a couple of things. First, I'm going to tell you what the changes are. Then I'm going to tell you what Norwegian said the reason was. Then I'm going to tell you my opinion, and I want to hear from you all in the comments, okay? Now, first of all, the changes, they are sailing on June 6th there, and on the 7th, they are supposed to call in the port there of Le Havre, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to visit. They are going to be there from 6:30 in the morning until 8 p.m. They were supposed to arrive at 7 in the morning and get to stay clear till 10. The next day is a sea day, so that's unchanged. On Sunday, June 9th, they are going to call in Vigo, Spain. They were supposed to be calling in Oporto, Portugal instead, so they're not going to get to go there anymore. Monday, the 10th, they are going to go to Lisbon, Portugal. They're having a shorter port stop there as well. Instead of going to Gibraltar on Tuesday the 11th, they are now going to go to Sevilla, Spain instead. Then the next day they are going to go, instead of going to Sevilla, they are going to go to Malaga. Then June 13th is going to be a day at sea instead of going to Granada, Granada. Then Friday, June 14th and June 15th, they are going to flip the days that they were going to visit Palma de Mallorca and Ibiza, Spain. So they'll be going first to Mallorca and then second to Ibiza. So it's a really big change in itinerary here. And as Norwegian announced that, here's what they said. It says, given recent guest feedback and to accommodate certain circumstances, including, but not limited to, port availability, fuel optimization as part of our commitment to the environment and sustainability, as well as global maritime regulations, we have adjusted our original itinerary. So I've been talking to you about Norwegian lately, and even this week we talked about how they have made the announcement that they want to cut $300 million of their spending, and they want it all to come from onboard shipboard spending. So in my opinion, just my humble opinion, I think that this is to save gas, and I don't know what else it saves because I'm not in the finance department there, but it sounds like it is probably, I looked at the changes on the map, and it does require less sailing to do what they're doing. I don't think it's a port change, availability change, because cruise lines set up the ports that they are going to visit years in advance, so that wouldn't be it. Environmental maritime regulations haven't changed, and all these other cruise ships are not changing their calls in these ports. So I think it is probably just an attempt to save some of that $300 million that they're trying to save. So if you happen to be booked on this cruise, let me know what you think. And if you're going, I feel really bad for people because that ship is sailing on June 6th. It's not like they're announcing this a year out so that people can make any changes that they want to. I know Gibraltar is a really big port that people will book a whole itinerary to go on just to call in Gibraltar. So I feel bad for everyone who thought they were going to go there. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, will you please hit that subscribe button? Look forward to joining us here every day so that you can stay up to date with everything going on with traveling to cruise, with cruising, just the whole scene. And if you appreciate my updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up? Thank you very much. Finally, we're going to talk about what's going on with excursions on the Discovery Princess this summer. So it's been a couple of months ago now, maybe even 3 months or so ago, that Princess let us know that our time on our cruise, which is going to sail on June 27th in Juneau, was being cut short. And so we're going to get there a few hours later than we were going to. And we had an excursion booked that was supposed to take us up to see the Sawyer Glacier, and it was supposed to take most of our port time. But when they made that change, we looked at the excursion and we thought, surely they're making changes. This hasn't been canceled or anything, so they're changing that itinerary of that excursion enough that we're going to be able to go. It has sat there all this time. We thought we were going to get to go until yesterday when we received an email from Princess letting us know that that excursion has been canceled. The thing I don't like about it is they let us know so late. They should have told us right when they changed the itinerary, because now when we look at booking a ship excursion, everything that I'm interested in booking, the things that I would want to do, they're full. And so we put ourselves on a wait list, but also we booked another tour fighter, and I'm not worried about doing it in Juneau because it's early enough that we've got lots of time to get back to the ship even if something unexpected happens. The other thing that we noted is a long time ago, Princess also timed up the visit time in Victoria. We were supposed to arrive there at 7 in the evening. Now we're not arriving until 9 p.m. And while it is still not available to book the ashore excursion that we had booked with Princess to go to see Bouchard Gardens, it just sat there. Princess didn't cancel it, so we just canceled it because there's no way that you can do all that in that amount of time. It takes a good 45 minutes to an hour to get from the port over to Bouchard Gardens, so we would get there in about time to turn around and come back. So just thought I would give you all the heads up. Pay attention to your excursions. Look and see if the cruise line has made any announcements, any changes on your itinerary, because you know what? They don't always send you an email about it. They just kind of slide them in. And so just a heads up. Let me know if this affects you at all. I'll look forward to seeing you all here again tomorrow. I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.